very small one. Then we go to have a cup of tea, then into confidence, okay? Right, Mike. Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. Do you mind waiting just for a couple of minutes, Councillor Henson? I'm just going to do these two quick ones, then we'll have a cup of tea, so my apologies. Change to cemetery bylaw. That's very, very mechanical. There's a suggested resolution. Do I have a mover?
Move.
Councillor Kappa, seconded. Councillor Williams, all in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Agenda number 14 is your council engagements. This includes a workshop, Mangakino Pouakani representative group, on the 5th of April at 10 a.m. Is it okay with you, Councillor Hickling? It's not a Wednesday, is it?
No, that's a Thursday.
Is that right with you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we discussed it at the
Okay, no, that's fine.
evaluation.
Okay, suggested resolution that the meeting dates for 2012 April be received. Move up. Kepa, seconded. Councillor Minstrel, all in favour? Aye. Okay, membership reports. We'll do these and then we'll break and then we can come back in the confidential section and we'll be turning off webcam and everything. So I'll go around the table, members' reports, and I'll start with Councillor Hickling.
Hurry up, we're getting
You want me to start around this side? Okay, I guess. Are you ready? Yeah.
I attended the Atimori Bridge sod turning ceremony on I think it was beginning of the month. I've attended two regional transport meetings. On the hearings committee of the regional transport. The representative group, Mangakino representative group, the other day. I represented the Sports Advisory Council on the rural funding, travel funding, and I actually went to the Wairiki hospitality opening on Huhu Street. So that was my involvement, Your Worship.
Councillor Williams.
I attended the Lake Taupo Arts Festival Trust meeting, and I just a correction to a previous council meeting. The date that the program, the date the festival commences is the 10th of May, not the 20th of May. I attended the launch of the Whio Recovery Project at the Tongariro National Trout Centre. I attended as sat in on the Lake Taupo Protection Trust Joint Committee, with which they're facing a number of contentious issues at the moment, or a couple of contentious issues. And along with Councillor Crate, I attended the Zone 2 meeting in Waitomo. It's quite a lengthy report though, Your Worship, so I don't know if you want it tabled now or...
I get the minutes of it, but does anybody want, or do you want to table it and put copies in the mistakes, then perhaps if you get it off Ms Williams and pigeonhole it or table it on the tables or something? Okay.
Yeah, I can do that, but I guess the items are of public interest, so I'll leave it up to Your Worship.
Councillor Downard?
Oh, are we going to? You want to hear them, or
Yep. Read them out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll start with. Well, I'll just go quickly through the speakers, but there was Jim Bolger addressed us on the major global issues which he saw and reflect really in our local government environments: youth employment, renewable energy, and which he made a strong focus on. Local government should be taking a leadership role in bringing their communities up to speed on this. Food productivity and supply and water resources. He spoke of the work on the Merrill Task Force and the report that came out of that. I don't think I need to talk about the rest of it. The New Zealand Fire Service, we had a leader there from the United Fire Brigade Association. He gave a plea to all present in local government to inform their local fire chiefs to hold out against the proposal for fixed term appointments as in his opinion it would jeopardise all the future for volunteers, and he said kill fire brigades. That was his words. Lawrence Yule, the President of Local Government New Zealand, spoke to us at length, and just the salient points were their key objectives at the moment are building strong relationships between Solgum and Local Government New Zealand. They've got a big job to determine how the Auckland new super city will be incorporated into national structure with respect to local government reform. They're looking at eliminating unnecessary aspects contained within the Resource Management Act. And then he also told us that our district subscriptions to Local Government New Zealand will go up by 10%, principally because Auckland was now down to 46,000 subscription contribution under the Super City restructure. They're also involved in a housing affordability study, which has been commissioned, which is all about councils releasing land, which is impacting on the value, how local government release land for development and impacts on the cost, and a whole lot of other points that flow out of that, which are affecting people's or citizens' ability to buy their own homes. There's a huge sort of story around EQC and the affordability of strengthening buildings, and especially around civic buildings, whether we could afford that around the country. Also a whole host of other things: infrastructure, transport, compliancy costs that central government was putting on local government. And then the main issues that he really, there's a lot of material here, but I guess the main thing was that urged us to a lot of discussion around local government reform, which I think we've covered in a recent discussion we had amongst ourselves. And then finally, just really important for us to be involved in determining our destiny as a region. I think urged us to attend the Zone 1 and 2 meetings in Manukau on the 11th of May. I think extremely important that as small players we take part in the debate and represent our district's best interests, that we don't let others determine our destiny in the reform process. And it's most important that we be working with our key strategic partners, not against them. So I will give you a detail of the paper, but is there anything else you want to?
No, I think you've done it very well.
Yeah.
Very well, Nicola.
Yeah, it was a great day, and the best thing was when the national that David, the national Dave Fagan said to us, we were taken on a tour of the Waitoma Caves. How do you keep a group of politicians quiet? I was put them in a boat in a dark cave because we were all spellbound and there wasn't a word out.
The glowworms, yeah.
But I'm going to do my bit to finish off. I'm going to do my bit as a local councillor for renewable energy, and that is to promote this Friday Jonathan Watts speaking at the Clean Energy Centre at 5:30 on his experiences in China, and of course the greatest issue and global issue with pollution, but also making the biggest inroads into research and development and cleaning up their drive to move forward on renewable energy. So I hope that all of you will be able to attend. So sorry it was long-winded.
Attended Zone 2 with Nicola, of course. World Travels with Barry. The Mobility Access Group monthly meeting. Bike New Zealand Roadshow, which was very much focused on, of course, what we're doing here. Mangakino Pouakani Representative Group. Kinloch Community Association, and Bike Taupo annual meeting, and they did quite well at the Volunteers Awards, did they not, Mayor Wick?
Oh, very well received, but there was only a winner and a runner-up, and they weren't winner or runner-up, but very well received, standing ovations. It'd be fair to say that heartfelt things are very hard to be beaten by 1,500 volunteers building tracks and a lot of fun and biking and that. Basically the awards were won by, the runner-up was won in Tauranga by a thing called Homes for Hope, or Hope for Homes. And they showed pictures of, people like Nia Glassy and the Kahui twins and that sort of thing, and they've built this big house and they're helping these young kids that are coming from dysfunctional homes, trying to make them into normal humans. It's very hard to beat things like that when it's tearing at the heart. Another guy that was a joint winner of first place was called Trev's Barbecues, and he came from Ashburton, and when the earthquake hit, he went every day for 44 days and he took 3 barbecues up, and he got all the meat for free from supermarket, and he just cooked for 12 hours a day and he fed everybody, and like the tears are rolling in people's eyes because Christchurch, obviously we're all emotional about it. So what I'm trying to say is those emotional things sort of overshadowed. Although I must say that the joint winner along with Trev's Barbecues was, I don't know if you know it or not, but I'm certainly going to make an effort to get there next couple of months. Is the Denison, is it called the Denison Rails or the Denison?
An incline, isn't it? It's the
they're rebuilding all the old coal mines and with all the old trains, and you can go up and go through the coal mine, and it's all done by volunteers. And I think so far they raised over $3 million, and it's nearly finished. The Denison coal mines from the 1800th century, when all that sort of thing. So, but Bike Taupo did well, and as I put in my column this week, volunteers aren't paid because they're worthless, it's because they're priceless. Councillor Mincher.
Sports Council went along to there. Wasn't a lot to talk about other than obviously the football and the support that the internationals had from the council, the grounds, etc. Great to district, talking about events. Also went to the Movers and Shakers lunch with Prime Minister John Key was there. Just interesting, he made a little quib about central government doesn't always get it right, and he touched on water quality as one of those issues and left it at that. Nicola did put a little bit across to him, so that was quite well received. And that was basically it for the night.
I attended a number of meetings, but 2 in particular I think of interest to this council was one where Turangi Tekua Marae Committee invited us to one of their meetings. They had about 5 issues that they want council via the board to address. We agreed that we would look at those issues. Of course, one of them was changing of the street names, but something else that came out of that meeting was one member of the hapu demanded co-management, so that's another issue that we will be looking at, obviously. There are about 9 members of the hapu there and 9 members of the council staff and the community board. The other one was a meeting with the Waikato Regional Council, Tongariro River Management. Was really just an update where things have been passed in before in their meetings, such as metal extraction that hasn't been done, so on and so forth. They're getting addressed, and I think you heard them mention this morning that there was a gap in our stop bank, and they're addressing that issue as well.
Just to note on that, Tongariro River is the only river in New Zealand that hasn't actually got a management plan. Are you saying that they are going to actually develop a management plan?
I'm not certain on the actual management plan, but they are addressing issues that affect the river and the flooding and so on.
Because the flood banks at the moment are our responsibility, according to the.
No, if you remember rightly, a few years ago, there was, before the 87, I think, we had a flood. If we, as council, hadn't repaired that stop bank at the time, we would have had major flooding inside the township. But because council, Taupo District Council, did the stop bank, went to WRC and they took over the loan and covered us on that.
I thought the regional policy statement had it quite clearly in their misregard that they'd chucked it back on our lap. But it's don't worry.
Attended the AGM for the Waipahihi Botanical Gardens, and of positiveness to the community, attended Waiora House twice, but one of them was with Dylan Tahu to Cafe for Youth, who got accredited by the DHB for the work they do. So it was like an ISO standard, and they achieved that in half the time that they were expected to. So it's a great opportunity, or great facility up there for the kids of today. Also, I have been approached by members of Shepherd Road, and by looking at the addresses and beyond, a petition that was put to me, and I've tabled it, I think you've all got a copy, regarding a A-frame house, which you may have seen in the paper, relocated onto a half section. I've had 2 phone calls from 2 of these members and have followed up with in-house staff and with Gareth. I think we used to have a policy on a consent required for relocatable houses, but due to the RMA, it met the building standards, so it was, I think, Gareth, could you clarify? So I'm just tabling the petition, but there was nothing we could do. It meets all the standards.
I think it's been fairly well thrashed out in the media, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, council can't be made the meat and the sandwich. It met the regulations, and we have no option. We don't operate on what our heart tells us. Unfortunately, we have to operate on what the book says. The book allows that house to be put there.
There was a policy in the past, though, I believe.
Maybe there was, but we have to operate on today. And council have done nothing wrong, and they shouldn't be made the meat and the sandwich, really. But yep, fait accompli, I think. Would that be fair to say, Mr. Green?
Correct. The house does comply with all the rules in the book. Councillor Johnson's right. There used to be ourselves and most councils used to have a rule about relocatable houses. The Environment Court found that rule was unlawful because it was no different to, it was looking at dealing with amenity issues, but the court found there was no difference between a relocated house which looked bad or a house that you built and looked bad. So
in other words, if he'd have built that house brand new
and it looked
at
bad,
an A-frame and it looks bad, that's his house.
Exactly. So the court basically said, look, you can't have those rules, so therefore we don't have those rules.
Thank you. Councillor Henderson?
Full list of my meetings, workshops, appointments is available through Tina Jakes, the Governance Manager for Council, and I wish it to be minuted that that's been the case since the day I was elected. If anybody from the public or on Council wishes to have a look at that and see what I've been doing and discuss any things with me, they're welcome to.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, Your Worship. I'm out of order here, but I really wanted to make a point about Councillor Minch's report and the response that the Prime Minister gave, which I thought was, well, quite frankly, it made my blood boil, because when he was asked about when he was talking about local government reform and saying local governments really had to smarten up their act and basically giving us a bashing, I felt. When he was asked about the regulation and compliancy costs, and in particular the water treatment plant for Lake Taupo, his response was that perhaps we've gone a bit too far and we need to relook at that legislation and those regulations, when in fact we as a region have already spent $27 million to get that treatment plant, and I just couldn't believe his response, and I think the government really need to be taking a look at themselves, and I think that's why we as a region have very, as we all know, very particular circumstances here that aren't typical of a lot of other regions around the country, and we need to be representing our views on those higher platforms.
Well, it probably helps you understand how come most of the mayors of this country are up in arms at the moment about all this, what's going on with local government reform and what have you, and quite frankly, yeah, I think like you, we do get sick of being bashed sooner or later, and when you know it's certainly not right, then it makes you even more determined. Mm-hmm. I guess it makes you feel like, I don't know, I can understand how Arthur Allen Thomas felt in jail for 10 years when he hadn't even done it. I mean, you get that feeling of deja vu, don't you? So,
but we have to
more
be
to come. I think I forwarded you an email last week from, and if I didn't, I would, from my good friend over here, Dale Williams, and that really sums it up, in my opinion. Councillor Mincher?
If I can add to what Nicola was saying, for the public's sake, it's a glaring example of the government just coming up with a new rule that we have to live by, that our community had to pay for, and now they realise, like, oh, whoops, that's not so right. And he did make a glib comment, which Nicola pulled him up on, that the water is a major cost and it's only drinking water for the community, and the government just decided that's it, and we've had to comply, and it's just not the way to go. So I'm glad at the moment we've put other water things to one side for the future until things are settled. So.
Okay, members' reports, so that they be received. The mover. Move Councillor Johnson, secondly Councillor Hickley, all in favour, aye. So what I'll do now is I will close the meeting for 10 minutes while we adjourn the meeting while we have a